What's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2 and I'm back with part 9 of What If Naruto Was Mahoraga Reincarnation guys. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, stick around for the rest of the what ifs coming through the day guys. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels that I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down within the description, so go ahead and check them out and become a part of the Anime King family guys. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado, or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin the intro. So, the last part that we left off, a battle between Naruto and Sasuke ended with Naruto being victorious. However, in the end, Naruto did not drag Sasuke back to the village, as he saw no point in doing so. Sasuke was angry, violently so. Forcefully bringing him back would change nothing. It would prove nothing. It would only show that Sasuke would start to resent and hate them for their actions. So Naruto told him to do what he deems necessary. Go ahead, get stronger and kill his brother, but if he turned against Konoha, he was going to hunt him down and make sure that it was the last mistake he ever made. So with that, Sasuke left the village. Soon after, Naruto left his home as well, and 2.5 years flew by rather quickly. Tsunade has been the Hokage ever since. She has taken on Sakura as a student, as Sakura was out of the few that she took on for the medical program, a rather surprising genius in that area, so she taught her special technique. However, over the time, Naruto has caused a lot of trouble for her. He got into some problems with the Land of Water community, with him being framed for killing someone very political and powerful as well. However, they were able to find out that it wasn't him, well, after 2 months, so his name was put on the ringer for a while. However, they were able to sort it out, and that was because he ran away, not once, not twice, but 3 times, away from Jiraiya. Not to mention, Naruto told the entire world who his parents actually were, his father mostly, to make his name as infamous as possible. With his father now gone, all of that attention was turned towards him. Tsunade had no idea that he knew about this, but it turns out that he did from Hiruzen's time. He just kept it to himself. She just hoped that they wouldn't have any more incidents and problems until he returned back to the village. However, she had made a public announcement about the information being truthful and it had changed a lot. So with that, we find Naruto and Jiraiya heading towards the Land of Lightning, given the recent activities of the Akatsuki. However, Naruto was mostly happy to go there because of seeing Yujito once again. Naruto also got involved within Kiri. However, Yagura was dead by the time that he got there, but he helped with the forces to annihilate some of the loyalists. It wasn't his fault, or should he have gotten involved, but his action proved to be something good for both sides, Konoha and Kiri as well. Arriving towards the village, Naruto wanted to sightsee. Jiraiya warned him not to do anything stupid. As fate would have it, Naruto came across Utsui. Utsui was rather shocked, as in the short amount of time Naruto was now on the same height as Jiraiya, and muscular as well, so yes, it was a surprise. Atsui ended up bringing Naruto towards the training field where Yujito was. She was happy to see him while she did not show that. She thought that she wouldn't ever again, given their village not being exactly allies or anything like that. However, Atsui wanted to show that what happened back then was a fluke and it wouldn't happen again. Unfortunately though, he stood no chance against Naruto and he was easily defeated. And that is where the real battle started to begin. As Naruto went up against Yujito, the others going on the stand line to make sure that they didn't get involved. Her strength had grown phenomenally over the past couple of years. However, Naruto's strength had grown beyond understanding as well. So yes, as they clashed, they started to cause a whole lot of problem for the village. The Raikage, Jiraiya, and a few others arrived. Killer B, the Raikage brother, was there as well. However, the Raikage did not put an end to the battle. Perhaps it was a way to show the strength of his ninjas, or perhaps he was cooking up something much more. Seeing the way they fought, an idea came to mind. Given this boy being the son of none other than Minato Namikaze himself, the Raikage had an interesting proposal. Before that though, he would allow them to have their rematch once again. So they were taken to the Rankyo Valley where they would not be disturbed. As the both of them started to clash on the mountain top, that is where Yujito revealed that her training had been fruitful, as she was able to control so much of the Nibi's power that she was able to compact it upon herself. The others were shocked, not expecting this. Not even Killer B knew about this, and he was a perfect Jinchuriki. While she wasn't exactly perfect, she was the closest thing to being that, as she was controlling all of that power. And all of this was the drive to defeat Naruto and fight him once again. Seeing that, Naruto was overjoyed, glad that she kept to her promise. With that, the both of them started to throw down. So yeah guys, basically I split off. You guys can switch across the playlist of yourselves to be in this new episode. Her big reveal shocked many, as Yujito still retained her human form. She was not transformed to the tail beast size. However, her features were not the same at all. However, this state was the result of intensive training for the past 2.5 years. For this exact moment, her body seemed to be made of the blue flames, with black patterns decorating all over. She still possessed her womanly features, but they were all simply obscured by the flames. Her eyes, one was green and the other one was yellow. Her face looked rather animalistic, like the cat, showing the imperfect of the state that she was in. However, this state was vastly stronger than level 2 transformation that one would take on in their humanoid state. This was a result of all of her intensive hard work. Jiraiya was surprised watching this, remembering back then, as he was curious, did she have this? But he doubted that she would have used this to fight Naruto. It would have been better. But yet she transformed. Perhaps she too also was keeping Naruto on her mind and wanting to gain more strength. Or perhaps it was due to her loss. Many factors there to go over. However, as Naruto came out of the rubble that she sent him in, the smile on his face, he was genuinely happy, excited, until she cleared the distance. Jiraiya was shocked. Karu, Amoy, they weren't even able to see her speed until she arrived behind Naruto, who turned his gaze slightly, but it was already over. She hit him in the back. She reappeared in front of him before sending him into the sky. She then appeared above and knocked him with her tails, both of them fleeing behind her. One then gripped him as she pulled him back and delivered 15 blows in the span of a couple of seconds. Her attacks raining down towards them, each of them compact with so much energy. She moved around him like a gig, delivering critical, brutal blows in each of her strikes. Given the amount of power that she was currently compacting to her human form, her blows were causing so much damage. The Raikage stood there, knowing that she wouldn't go overboard and actually kill him, because he was trying to perform a rapport with the Hidden Leaf Village, and this boy being the lost son of Minato Namikaze would be good for them. So if she killed him, that would be bad. However, given what happened within the exams, the Raikage doubted that he had anything to worry about. He glanced towards Jiraiya with a smirk on his face. Proud he was of Yujito in that moment. And this is what all of her hard work has resulted in, the Raikage said. You should be proud, Jiraiya said, getting that feeling from the man. To control all that power is truly remarkable. However, Jiraiya's gaze was not one of concern, which led the Raikage to believe that he wasn't worried at all, not in the slightest, as Yujito appeared above Naruto once again, to deliver the finishing blow to knock him down. His eyes, which was closed the entire time, and smiling, despite the wounds that she inflicted upon him, they heal almost immediately, the burn marks from what she was doing to him. The pinwheel that was resided on his head, it was turning the more she hit him. However, as she pulled her fist back, as it was glowing with so much power, the flames around it turning into a more darker color. Naruto's eyes snapped open. The next moment, he slapped her hand into the sky. All of that power was released, causing a discharge of energy. However, in that split second, his hand rose up beyond the speed that she could move at and hit her in the stomach. He did not punch, he gripped. He then released. The force that came from his release was something she couldn't understand at the moment. She felt it deep within her stomach as she was launched into the heavens. The team down below watched as the clouds parted. The amount of force that she was sent into the sky with, causing the clouds to poof. Given how high up they were, she was already in the clouds. How is that possible? Karu said. She had the upper hand. He was done. How could he do that with just one blow? As she tried to wrap her head around, how was he able to do that? Even Samui, one who was usually cool with everything, having a rather calm expression, was shocked. The look on the Raikage's face, as he couldn't believe what was done with one single blow. It was hard to imagine, and yet here it was right in front of his eyes. What was the limits to this boy's strength? Did he not have any? The Raikage wondered. Meanwhile, as Yujito's body was still going up, her eyes closed as she was trying to wonder just how much stronger has he become. All of her training, was she going to lose just like that? The next moment, she found herself inside of a house. Well, house was it was not the right statement, given that the entire place was on fire, but it was still a house to an extent. Looking around, as her eyes focused what was in front of her, stepping out of the shadows was the colossal Two Tails. It stretched. There was a massive chain around its neck that resembled a seal, intricate patterns carved into it. She looked towards the Two Tails, surprised that the beast summoned her, not the other way around. Usually the Two Tails wanted no interaction, no FaceTime at all, as the beast didn't mind her using its power, as long as she wasn't bothered. "I'm surprised you were the one to call me," said Yujito. "I can smell the fox on that boy." Yujito was already aware of Naruta's status, plainly because he told her the end of the battle when she was lying on the ground. However, it didn't matter because Naruto had made the news public, even more so, because of the threat of the organization, the Akatsuki. He was deliberately allowing them to come for him, as he didn't want them to hide in the shadows. He wanted them to come out and face him. The two-tail did not seem that pleased about the outcome of this match already. She lied down, stretching herself. The tail beasts did not seem to be assigned personal genders, but the two tails had female characteristics, starting from the voice alone. Gazing towards Yujito, your obsession with this boy has pushed you to new heights. What? I'm not obsessed with anyone, she said. Have you forgotten that I've been with you since you were a child? There is no secrets that you can hide from me. I have been watching you, despite everything, she said. Yujito faked ignorance, pretending like she didn't know what the Nibi was speaking about. Despite, Naruto came up a lot in her mind recently, which had pushed her to, well, this state that she was currently in. This form that you have taken is a false imitation to what you can truly have. What? Yujito said. The Nibi looked down towards her. Because of my non-cooperation, this is a state that you have been granted to control. With the amount of power that you've stolen from me. I wouldn't say stole was the right word, said Yujito. Stolen, the Nibi hissed at her. Yujito remained quiet. However, you've piqued my curiosity, and there's not much else here to do. And unlike you, this boy will not use an ounce of the tail beast chakra from that damn fox. Maybe this way, I can finally prove that I'm not as weak as they believe. She said as she opened her mouth. Wait, what are you talking about? Before Yujito could question anything, she was hit with flames. However, on the outside world, Yujito felt her strength skyrocket. Everyone down below paused as they felt it. They felt the disturbance in the air, the amount of power. Killer Bee started to rap to the eight tails, trying to understand where this surge was coming from. It seems Monatabe is also interested in this fight as well. The eight tails explained the state that Yujito has under her control right now is not perfected at all, while it is stronger than the stage 2 because of the humanoid stature. Monatabe cooperation is not in it, which makes it weaker than, well, the final form. The eight tails and Killer Bee, their bond was different, given that Killer Bee liked to rely on the power and use it at its fullest by allowing the eight tails to run free. However, other tail beasts have different form. For example, the nine tails. Not that that beast would ever merge with a human, allowing its power to become one with a human. The two tails was similar. So theoretically, if Yujito was to merge perfectly with the two tails consent, well, she would be able to overpower the hosts of the 3, 4, and 5, and perhaps 6, even when they use their tail beast power, because they would not be synced with said tail beasts. That is how much greater the acceleration of power would be, because on their own, tail beasts were walking destruction, but combined with a human, their strength was greater. So at the moment, while the two tails was not fully succumbing to Yujito, she was allowing her more access to her power, which was causing a drastic change. As she started to slow down, the pain in her stomach was no more. As she placed the hand there, I suppose I owe you my thanks. As she had no idea just how much more power They was there to control. However, in that moment, it wasn't about power. It wasn't about beating him. It wasn't about village. It wasn't about anything else but fun. She enjoyed fighting him. The mere notion of going up against him, she enjoyed it. That is when she heard the voice of the two tails in her head. I'm not even human, and even I know what that means. Yujito disregarded those words, as she stepped on the ear, twisting herself, using her own tails as a base. She pushed off with so much force. Naruto watched as a bright, blue light descended upon him. The next moment it vanished. He used his arm to block, but her new strength was much more than he expected. She tore directly through his arm. However, neither of them were caught off guard by this, given what they did in the previous exam. Naruto's arm regenerated much faster than before. When she spun back around and they clashed, they created vibrations through the ear. They went at it, their movements zipping from place to place. The mountain base started to crack and shake apart. The whole place beyond started to tremble violently. She grabbed him, he grabbed her as they slammed through the mountain, causing catastrophic destruction as they move. Yujito keeled her head back as she fired 5 tiny blue balls towards Naruto. He split the first one, but as he did, it erupted in blue and black flames. The others descended upon him before erupting as well. However, Naruto burst out of it, their fists connecting. His body burned but regenerating fastly, the wheel on his head turning once again, as the both of them tried to push back one another, causing the ground beneath them to split from the excessive force that they were both releasing. They jumped away as the both of them gazed at one another, knowing what was to come. She held both of her hands out, her tails curled around her hands, for grip, for power. As she started to spew so much power out, it started with a tiny blue ball, then a black one. They started to merge together, consuming one another, before it got large, and larger, and larger, and larger. It was becoming a problem. The others started to take a step back, despite the distance that they were at. The Raikage gazed over towards his brother B, who simply gave him a thumbs up, understanding what to do if things goes extremely wrong. After all, this place was used to this amount of power being thrown around, considering that this was where B also trained. Well, not fully with his tail beast, but his power had been released here a lot. Yujito launched the colossal ball of power towards Naruto. Naruto shattered the ground as he moved, the blade on his hand glistening with so much power, flipping through different color until it settled on one, a pure white. Naruto slammed right into the thing, stopping it in its tracks. It tried to push him back, it tried to consume him, but he kept on going, stopping the massive tail beast bomb, controlling the energy that surrounded it so it would not explode. Yujito keeled her head back. Her stomach swelled before all that power pushed straight up towards her mouth. She released a powerful beam that shot from the depths of her core. The light beam of energy raced towards the tail beast bomb before it caused it to erupt. On the other side, Naruto released every single power that he accumulated in that blade, causing an eruption of his own. When the both of them collided, there was an explosion unlike any other. The entire mountain was wiped away. Everyone braced themselves, fearing the worst. However, the debris and destruction was blocked by a massive tentacle. As Killer Bee had transformed, jumping down, creating a barrier with his entire body. Jiraiya looked towards the 8 tails that was fully under control. He knew that Naruto wouldn't be able to achieve something like this, as he refused from day one to ever use the 9 tails abilities, preferred to rely on his own. While that was good and all, he wouldn't be able to access the power like this. However, when Jiraiya thought about it, there was a question: did he really need it? As he gazed downwards, he was worried, but not for Naruto. Having seen face to face what Naruto regeneration can do, Jiraiya wasn't worried one bit. He was worried for the girl's sake. Down below, Yujito lay on top of a piece of debris that floated across the small stream that was nearby, where her body had ended up. She was conscious. However, she was no longer within her tail beast form, having reverted back to normal. This was the first time she spent that long within that form. She felt sore all over. After all, despite having her body heal, despite the damage that she received, she was now feeling the effects of those punches and blows, and the slash of his blade. As she lay there, the explosion had destroyed the entire mountain, even causing the other one nearby to split, crumbling half of it. As she floated there, wondering how he was doing. However, the thought never crossed her mind that this would take him out. It never did one bit. Strangely enough, she had that much faith in him. She felt movement as she looked down to see someone, as he crawled on top of the platform that she was lying down on. He then proceeded to lie right next to her. His shirt had been blown off. His pants were torn badly. Her clothing was fine given the state that she was in. However, physically, that was where it came. The pain and soreness all over. But none of them were too badly hurt. He looked just fine given his regeneration. However, his clothing was another thing entirely. It was ruined. The only thing that was covering his modesty was the now tiny shorts that he wore, which was once long pants, but it was reduced to tiny shorts. However, he simply lay next to her, and he was happy, genuinely so, as the both of them gazed upwards, not saying a word, simply enjoying the moment, until Naruto finally spoke. "You surpass all my expectations that I had for this battle," he said. "You are not the only one that is surprised. You did not even use the power that was inside of you. How is it possible that your own power has pushed you to these heights?" She said, gazing over towards them. "Several factors, I suppose. I was born with a special ability that none other in this world possess. Not to mention, I was born powerful," he said. "Stronger than your average child. And my training as well. I've put myself through hell and back throughout my life, and in these past 2 years, I've pushed myself to the absolute brink to see my limitations, but each time, I keep on shattering them. However, it seems I'm not the only one," Naruto said, gazing towards her, causing a smile to grace her features. As Naruto gazed back up into the heavens, the quiet settling in once again. "You know, I've come across a lot of people on my journey with the old pervert over there," said Naruto. "People tend to overestimate my age because of how powerful my body is," said Naruto, as he was talking about how much He has grown up. I wanted to understand what everything was like, to experience feelings that I never experienced before. It happened a couple of weeks ago when I laid with someone, a beautiful woman that I thought would feel a lot different, he said. Are you trying to explain to me that you slept with someone, she said. Yes, Naruto said. And why are you telling me that? She said, feeling strange at him saying that to her. I expected something much more. The rush. The same feeling I get. Yes, there was a lot of pleasure, but Naruto turned towards her. Fighting you is at least 1,000 times better than exactly what that experience was. Perhaps it is not the fight, but it is you, said Naruto. She looked towards him, trying to see if she was understanding his words correctly. He was a straightforward person. She's never seen him look embarrassed in the short amount of time that they've known each other. Would you like to be with me? Said Naruto. Her cheeks turned a bit red before she started to laugh. Is my proposal that funny? He said to her. No, it's not, she said. It's just the way you go about saying things. Most people will have a difficult time trying to express how they feel. You, on the other hand, started with, you slept with someone a few weeks ago for the first time, and it didn't feel great. And you went about it straightforward, no hesitation. I've come across a lot of people that tend to get extremely nervous and stutter a lot, which is strange given the world that we live in. The ninja life is, well, it's short, given the amount of things that we do and the constant battle. I have to say, I truly like someone that can simply put all that emotional nervousness aside and simply say what is on their mind. And I have to say, strangely enough, you've been on my mind as well, she said. Perhaps it is a promise I made to you that even pushed me this far. Because before, all I fought for was my pride in my village. I never actually fought and had actual fun. The rush of the battle was always there, but there was a danger or problem. But with you, it's different, she said. So yes, I would like that. As difficult as it is going to be. I would like that, she said, looking towards him. Naruto smiled genuinely. Strangely enough, he was happy without a battle or something else. This was the first time that he felt happiness from just a normal thing like this. Well, he supposed that it wasn't normal. The Raikage and Jiraiya and the others were looking down towards them as the Raikage watched them very carefully. Time skip. Naruto was back on his feet. As Yujito was speaking to the others, Jiraiya came walking over towards him. So, who won? Jiraiya said. I suppose it's a tie, said Naruto. Well, I'm not sure if she was going all out, Jiraiya said. But you, on the other hand, I doubt it. I suppose I have gotten too strong, said Naruto. What do you mean by that? Jiraiya said. As Naruto looked down towards his hand, there was a smile on his face though, as he did not clarify what he meant. But the Sannin knew that Naruto was not fighting at his fullest. As he wondered to himself, during their sparring that got intense, was the kid holding back against him? How powerful has he truly become? Jiraiya wondered as he watched Naruto made his way off. Time skip. Their lips were connected in a rather heated session of passion. Having the advantage over height now, he could wrap his arms around her, pulling her into his embrace. They were leaving the village. Before though, as the both of them stood alone, everything else seemed to melt away. They have not kissed or touched each other. Not one bit. She liked how assertive he could be, as their words were simply talking, and yet it turned into this. Nothing official has been said. However, she had agreed. He wanted to be with her, she wanted to be with him. However, they have not said a single word to another person around them. After all, they weren't even from the same village. Their village weren't allies. However, she was going to speak to the Raikage, one-on-one, face-to-face. As Naruto wasn't going to be there, because she wanted to speak to the man, just him alone, to make him understand. The Raikage wasn't a fan of, well, them associating with other village. Given his distrust of many, so she wasn't sure how things were going to work out. So yes, there was a certain uncertainty between everything at the moment. However, feelings like this that has kept over the years and nurtured into something much great doesn't just easily go away. As they spend the remainder of the minutes talking right there, until Naruto had to disembark with Jiraiya. He said his final goodbyes and another passionate kiss. Making his way, the Sannin asked him where the hell he was. However, Naruto did not give him a direct answer to his question. A few minutes after they left the village, Yujito was face to face with the Raikage within his office. As she stood in front of the man, he could tell that the topic that she wanted to discuss was something serious. As he gazed towards her, waiting to hear what she had to say. Time skip. The Land of Sky tried to invade Konoha, a village that was wiped out during the Third Great Shinobi War. They tried to invade the Hidden Leaf Village, which ended in a sad defeat for them. Their forces were pushed back. Under Tsunade rule in Konoha, defensive were prepared, ready for anything. A surprise attack like that wasn't strong enough. Not to mention, they had to head back immediately because their plans were found out by Jiraiya's spy network about their movement. So they did not dealt any damage to Konoha, the small force that were sent there to scout out the village. Konoha had spotted them first, and they were repelled immediately. This was 2 months before Naruto and Jiraiya had to return. There was my guy and a few others there, as they could see the massive thing that was hovering over the water. Their specialized equipment allowed them to fly, and their city was also flying as well. Something crash-landed on the ocean as it slammed right down near the border. Master Jiraiya, Guy said, sounding surprised, not expecting him to be here. An explosion could be heard. As they both turned their gaze, the others focusing on the thing that was hovering towards them, but the heavens seemed to part. Something had cleared the distance from a long way, using the momentum. The entire floating island shook violently as it was ripped to sunders. Explosions from all kinds. Guy turned his gaze toward Jiraiya, trying to understand. The leader of this village, a man known as Shino. We found ourselves coming across him. He tried to use a very powerful ancient beast against us that feed off negativity. However, we were able to find out that he was the one behind it and put a stop to all of his wrongdoings. Jiraiya said, looking towards a toad that opened its mouth, revealing all the people that were kept on that damn ship of his. However, the ship was being ripped to sunders, given the fact that Naruto was up there with him. Something was launched, sending all the way across the vast ocean. It was the body of Shino that had been hit so hard by Naruto. As for the remainder of the ship, Naruto sent it down into the goddamn ocean, ripping the entire thing apart, successfully eliminating this damn pest once and for all. Oh, they will not be returning after that. No, they would not. Time skip. They still had 2 months left, as there was still some few last minute things that Jiraiya had to check out. And Naruto wasn't ready to return back to the village just yet, because there was a problem. Someone that he saved in the past was in peril and needed his help. Time skip. Finally, after so long, Naruto gazed up towards the monument. So she finally got her face up there, said Naruto, as Jiraiya stood by his side. They were finally back home. As Naruto gazed, he was standing on a very tall podium, having already passed through the gate. Strangely enough, Naruto noticed people looking at him, but it was not with that same look that they usually gave him. Jumping down, Naruto landed alongside Jiraiya, his gaze wandering towards the people. Jiraiya noticing that, it seems, a lot of the perspective around here has changed about you. Ah, I see now, said Naruto, because of my revelation about who my father is. Now they're trying to be a suck-up. The Sannin gazed towards Naruto, wanting to know his feelings about this matter. It's a good thing that I'm not a very vengeful person. This village would have been burned to the ground already if I was. That is not a very funny joke, Jiraiya said. Oh, it's not a joke. I'm simply telling you the reality that some people has to face. Besides, I didn't much care of anyone back then. So their looks or their feelings to stay away never truly bothered me, because I simply didn't care for them. But this place is my home, and as long as I reside here, I won't allow anyone to destroy it, said Naruto. Now let's go see that old woman, he said. With that, they made their way towards the office. News started to immediately spread about his return. As Sakura heard that, she headed straight towards Lady Snevy, knowing that would be one of the first places that he went. When the door opened up and Snevy was greeted by the person in front of her, she was caught off guard. Haven't seen him in the last couple of years. His intensive growth, yes, it did surprise her quite a lot as she looked up towards him. The smirk on Naruto's face as he looked at her. However, the first words that left his lips, well, it pissed her off. It seems you haven't aged that much over the time I've gone. Then again, I doubt you would allow the world to see how truly old you are. Snatched threw the paperweight at Naruto, causing him to duck. Jiraiya, who stepped in behind Naruto, was hit right in the face as he was sent back through the door. The Sannin lay there in pain, the one time that he chose to take the door to greet her properly, and this is what he got, as the Sannin simply lie there. Seems you haven't changed that much, said Naruto, speaking about her easily rattled temper. However, she was happy to see him, and at the same time pissed as well. Their little conversation immediately turned into the both of them arguing with one another. To most other people, this would seem strange, someone speaking to the Hokage of the village like this, as most people did not have a close relationship to their village leader at all. Shizune was happy to see Naruto once again, as his growth was really insane. He towered over her, everyone in the room. Sakura finally arrived. She was not expecting this much of a change. Is that really you? Who else would it be, said Naruto, looking down at her. He then started to walk around her, examining every square inch of her. Sakura found herself blushing. Maybe it was his new looks, his muscles, his height, or perhaps him scrutinizing every single part of her, which led her to question if she's grown as well, which he agreed that she has. As he looked at her, in more than one way, he said. One might think that he was speaking of a different way, but Naruto was speaking about physical strength and attributes. He could tell from her features right now that she was stronger, vastly stronger than before. As Naruto poked his head through the window, they gazed towards him. "And I see you haven't changed that much either," he said. Standing there was Kakashi Hatake. As the man stepped inside, he was here the entire time. Sakura smiling at her former sensei. Jiraiya finally picking himself up, having lied there throughout the whole of that. Tsunade wanted to see a demonstration, and she was sure that Kakashi would like to see just how much his students have grown. "Are you sure that is wise?" Naruto said, interrupting, causing them to gaze towards him. "I mean, I wouldn't want to hit you too hard and accidentally shatter too many bones. Come on now. Do you really think of your former sensei that weak?" Kakashi said, greeting Naruto with an eye smile. "Speaking of," Naruto said, reaching into his bag, pulling something out. "The old perv told me that this would help with my sexual life." As the girls in the room blushed as Naruto blatantly said things without holding back, but I found it completely useless. He threw the book. As Kakashi caught it, his eyes widened. It can't be. It was the latest volume of Jiraiya book. Immediately Kakashi made an excuse, causing Tsunade to roll her eyes. "He just want to go and read that damn book," she said. Their conversation was interrupted by a knock, which led to be none other than Temari and Shikamaru. As Temari looked at Naruto with a shocked look on her face, Shikamaru blinked, wondering if he was seen correctly. Sakura all but confirmed it when she jumped into action. "Huh. A lot has changed," Shikamaru said. "And you seem the same," said Naruto, "except for a bit taller." "Hey you!" Temari turned her gaze towards him. "You're Gaara's sister," said Naruto. "My name is Temari," she said. Naruto completely ignored that. "The last thing I heard was he got a huge promotion or something like that. Was that rumor correct?" As Temari smiled, "Gaara is a Kazekage now." Naruto started to chuckle, as that was not what they expected. "Huh, the first time we met, we tried to kill one another. It's a good thing I didn't end his life that day. Perhaps it was fate," Naruto said, despite not believing in that. "After all, he's your leader now. A good one, I suppose." "Of course he is," she said. "Well, I suppose the next time we come to blows, things will be a lot better," said Naruto. Time skip. "I doubt that this is necessary," said Jiraiya. "Don't you trust my words?" Tsunade proceeded to ignore him, as she wanted to see for herself. Kakashi stood on the field, as the other two were standing there. Naruto was stretching, dressed in a black t-shirt along with grey pants, as he gazed over towards the man. Kakashi was eye-smiling at them. As this was a test, he proceeded to pull the bell test out. Yes, which caused Naruto to smile. Moments later, a horrified look was presented on Tsunade's face. She was not alone. Tauntaun and Shizune looked terrified. Kakashi Hatake was inside of a massive, colossal trench. He wasn't that badly hurt. However, both of his eyes were wide as they could ever exactly be. Sakura, who had some dirt on her gloves, looking terrified as well. At the beginning of the trench was Naruto. Both of his hands finally releasing the pulsating amount of energy that he's accumulated so far. Naruto allows Sakura to go first, to see how much she has grown. Considering how she used to be back then, this was a colossal improvement. What followed was Naruto, ripping the entire training section apart, destroying the bells, and nearly killing Kakashi as well. The genjutsu would not work on him. The techniques would not work on him. Physical attacks, well, it was hard to even budge him in certain areas. And even if you did manage to harm him, his regeneration was so top level that you need a powerful enough attack to kill him that would wipe him out completely before he got a chance to adapt or to regenerate to it. So yes, that was a problem. After what she's witnessed today, Tsunade believed that Naruto would be suitable for a promotion to Jonin. Chunin does not seem to fit his stature of level that he was currently at right now. While it would be a time before they made him a teacher given his rather odd way of training, which would probably kill majority of people that were not him. However, they could give him that title as something that would be test worthy to see just how much he was able to learn while he was with Jiraiya. So, she was going to make Naruto do the Jonin tests. Others would be there to witness that, to show that he would be fully capable of taking this next step in his career. Given that he was gone for so long, he missed a lot, as majority of the others, well all of them really, had already graduated. Unfortunately though, Tsunade received dire news from none other than the San. Gaara has been kidnapped. Time skip. Tamaru was making her way, returning back to her village, as she had become the liaison between the San and Konoha for her village. However, she came to a stop, picking something up as she turned her gaze. She was surprised as she saw Sakura, Naruto, and Kakashi. She wanted to know what the hell was going on, as they were coming for her. Did something happen? The moment the words left Kakashi's lips, immediately, she took off as the group made their way, arriving towards the village. Gaara was kidnapped by the Akatsuki. Naruto observed and took in all of that information, hearing what they had to say. Kankuro was in a very bad state at the moment. Tracking teams have already been sent out, however. The Akatsuki were smart. Not only did they provide a proper distraction, they used their footing to make sure that no one could track them. Yes, they were very smart. However, as Naruto leaned up against the wall and watched, as Sakura got to work, he had to say she had really excelled in that area. Gazing over his shoulder, he saw Temari sitting down. As she was nervous, "Hey," Naruto said. She knew that he was talking to her. "I'm going to find your brother. And even if the worst does happen, I'm going to eliminate every single one of these Akatsuki members." Naruto said. He was angry, yes. Gaara was someone that he wanted to fight. That was half of the reason though. Gaara did not take the same self-imposed strength that he had. He was a miserable person in the beginning, who thought that only himself and everything. However, he was alone, just like him. Naruto did not focus on things like that, however. Gaara had proven to the people by surpassing every expectations. Because of his recent popularity growth, with people now seeing him as a hero, it made Naruto think about the past. Things that he chose to block out because, well, he didn't want to be soft and weak, as that tied into his personality becoming rough, careless of things that he say. So yes, as Gaara achieved something that was so great for him, he was taken. Naruto was going to slaughter every single one of them, something that he aimed to do in the beginning, but still, this just put the icing on the cake. However, it turns out that Kankuro defeat him going after the Akatsuki members were not for waste, as he provided them with something very beneficial, a piece of the Akatsuki clothing. Yes, with that Kakashi summoned Pakon. With that, Pakon made its way, heading out. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Snather received word, as she expected this to be something bad. However, she was surprised when she heard that it was from Kumo. The Raikage had sent her a letter. Now that was surprising. Given that they already spoke about the Akatsuki, she never expected something like this. Immediately she wondered if Naruto did something stupid. Please don't make that be the case, she told herself, as she started to open said letter to try to understand what was going on. Her eyes went wide as she saw what said letter entailed. It caught her off guard completely. Meanwhile that was going on, Team 7 with a new addition, Lady Chiyo was racing through the trees, making their way. Someone was up ahead. Who is it? As they landed down, that's Kakashi narrowed his one eye, immediately raising his headband. It's Itachi Uchiha. Itachi stood there calmly as he looked at the group. Something was not right. Kakashi started to explain their problem when fighting the Sharingan. However, Naruto took off a genjutsu he tried to cast, trying to manipulate Naruto, but back at the hideout, Itachi opened his eyes. The group were caught off guard. Why are you back so soon? Asked the leader of the organization. It seems the Jinjulki of the Nine-Tail is more formidable than we originally thought. The leader was not pleased by that. The battle did not last for more than 30 seconds. This was a fraction of Itachi's true power, not as fast, not as strong. Not to mention, the genjutsu would not work on Naruto. So Naruto simply bulldozed through everything that he threw at him, even the fire, and reduced the clone to nothing, revealing the true man underneath. The leader realized how dangerous this threat was. After all, they too received information about the Nine Tails. What? Deidara said, as they were given specific orders not to engage the moment the sealing process was over. They were to get away. Their usefulness to the Akatsuki was still there, so they weren't not to engage. They were warned. Sasori simply nodded, understanding the mission. Deidara wasn't too pleased though, knowing that they would have to run away. Team 7 plus Chiyo came across none other than Guy's team, who were nearby. They faced off against Kisame, who opened his eyes. Kisame wanted to be the one to go after the Nine-Tail, just to see a glimpse of the power that the boy has now, remembering their battle that led at a draw. He was looking forward for that rematch, but the leader was being a bit stingy on giving them the assignment. Well, things in Konoha has changed up, and their forces were on high alert because of the Akatsuki movements, because of Jiraiya information. So yes, that was a problem. They're here. Sasori and the others gazed towards none other than a creature known as Zetsu. However, it did not matter as the sealing process came to an end. Team Guy was dispatched to find all the sealing tags. As Naruto placed his hand out, there was a barrier there, protecting the cave. He slammed his blade into it. It repelled his blade. The pinwheel on Naruto's head started to turn. However, to fully adapt would take some time. This barrier was different, powerful. It was created with 5 others. However, Team Guy's speed was exceptional. As they arrived, they removed all of the barrier tags as Sakura slammed her fist into it, reducing it to pieces. All of them jumped inside. The moment they did, a bird took off at blinding speed. The bird had Gaara within its mouth. Sasori wanted to turn Gaara into a puppet. Naruto gazed watching the bird, his eyes being exceptionally fast. Slice! He tore the thing's wing off, forcing the two to flip, jumping away as the thing crashed down, unable to fly properly. Naruto came from the heavens and caused them to split. Such monstrous strength. Deidara thought releasing a bird that flew straight towards Naruto. Boom! It exploded in his face as Sasori jumped away and landed. Deidara looked with a smirk on his face. He doesn't seem to be that tough. He did not get to finish the words. He underestimated Naruto because of his bomb, believing that it would slow Naruto down. As Naruto reached him within a second, Deidara's skull slammed into the solid stone, causing him an extreme amount of agony and anguish as he crashed into the cave. He fell down, dropping to one knee. He looked up as Naruto reigned over him, raising his fist as he brought it down. However, Deidara was fast, having already had his hands moving and chewing. A centipede wrapped around Naruto. Deidara rolled away as he jumped. Guts! Boom! It went off. Naruto stood there, unmoving within the smoke, when suddenly he stepped out. The burn marks healing instantly. His clothing was torn badly though. What the hell is he made out of? Deidara said, unable to understand how he was able to take two direct explosives like that. That was when Naruto noticed Chiyo taking Gaara out of the bird. As Naruto saw Gaara's corpse, they failed to rescue him on time, and now he was dead. Everyone snapped their gaze towards Naruto, Chiyo watching him carefully as she saw the look in his eyes, and it was towards their Kazekage. Naruto turned his gaze back to the two Akatsuki members. Over to the side watching was Zetsu, observing the battle. This power, Zetsu said. It was so unusual, so powerful. It was unlike anything that he's ever come across before, and Zetsu has been alive for a long time. Kakashi and Sakura tried to step in. Stay back, said Naruto. They're mine. And in that moment, all hell broke loose. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.